Now the 2 minutes is almost up. Make sure to flip your burger. Today, we're going to be trying to recreate McDonald's very first hamburger. And the legend has it that they were sold for 15 cents back in the day. So let's see what we can make. So today we're going to be starting to make the burgers by making McDonald's famous brioche buns from scratch. I'm planning to make approximately 10 burgers. So for this, I'm going to be using about 1 cup and 2 tablespoons of water. We're also going to be adding in some active dry yeast. I'm going to be adding 2 full tablespoons of the yeast. After adding the yeast into the water, make sure you do dissolve all the yeast. After your yeast has rested for about a minute, we're going to add to this 1/4 cup of sugar and 1/3 cup of oil. Here I'm using canola oil. You can also use vegetable oil as well. And just give that a good stir. So the yeast will feed off of the sugar and the water that's in this mixture, and it will release some CO2. So after about 5 minutes of letting the yeast rest, you'll notice that the top of the oil starts to get really frothy. This is a really good sign. And now we'll continue by adding in 1 egg. As well, we're going to be adding in 1 teaspoon of salt. We're going to be using 3.5 cups of all-purpose white flour. We're going to slowly add in 1 cup at a time. You're going to pour it out onto the surface and slowly add in that last half cup of flour. Very gently knead the dough for approximately 3 to 5 minutes. Just continuously stretch the dough and fold it back into itself and push with both my knuckles. Once the dough starts to become a little smooth and not so sticky anymore, start to shape this into a ball. Just very roughly cut this in half. And we're going to divide each piece into 5s. Push in from the bottom side with your fingers and fold around with your thumbs. This will help create that nice rounded top. To seal the bottom, just place it on the table and slightly twist it. We're just going to do this for all 10 pieces of dough. Well, if the dough doesn't fail, then there's no way the baking fails, right? Here we are with our 10 rolled out doughs. We have here just a baking tray. I lined it with some parchment paper. Here I just have the leftover oil from earlier. We're going to be brushing the parchment paper. So we're gonna go for 2 and 1. Brush some of those with some of these. And this is to make sure that the skin is not exposed to the air and it won't dry out. Now that the buns have rested for about 10 to 15 minutes, you'll notice that they have almost doubled in size. In 1955, they still had that nice golden color. So we're gonna try to replicate that using our own special mixture. But here I'm just gonna add a nice splash. Vigorously mix this together. Very lightly brush the bun. The more you cover, the more of it will look nice and golden brown. And we're cooking this at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's been about 10 minutes. The size of this is far too big. We're gonna try to remake these a little bit smaller and see how they go. In order to make our buns more accurate this time, we're going to use a scale and measure out the pieces of dough. So the very first attempt we did, they had a nice color, but it was not really even. The inside was still not as fluffy and light as we wanted it to be. On to our second one. This time we portioned the sizes correctly. So I did 60 grams of dough for each one. We egg washed it and we made sure to rotate this a few times during the cooking process. We lowered the temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and we cooked it on a lower rack using convection. Here's the result. It's nice glistening buns. And it has a pretty even distribution of color, but it's still not as close to McDonald's as we would like it to be. So we decided that we would try it one more time. And this time we wrapped it in tin foil completely and we cooked it at 350 for 30 minutes. And this allowed the buns to cook and become really fluffy on the inside without burning the crust. And once that was complete, we took off the foil, we put it back in with the top open, and we got this nice browning color on the bun. And this is pretty close to the color you'd get on your commercial buns. So I just put the first batch away and I'm gonna keep these 2. Although this did not turn out as nice in color as that one, I still like how this one looks and how this one tastes. Without further ado, we're going to cut these up and turn them into some burger buns. Here I have some old cheddar cheese we picked up from the grocery store. I have some pickles. These are just the full dill pickles. We're gonna have to prepare and slice them. I have ketchup and mustard. And we also have their most important ingredient, the dehydrated onion flakes. So we're gonna start out by rehydrating these. Rehydrating means just getting moisture back into the flakes. What you're looking for is the end result to have the flakes without any crispy texture. It should be completely hydrated and soggy. So I'm just going to do a couple of pickles here. The McDonald's original burger did not have any corner pieces of pickle, so for today we're not going to use these. This is lean ground beef, and we're going to use a little bit of cooking oil. So just before we begin to cook, I'm going to measure out 45 grams of the ground beef. And the original McDonald's recipe says to cook these 2 minutes per side, and you lightly salt each side before you flip it. And after flipping it the first time, and the only time actually, you'd have to press the patty. I personally think 45 grams is not that much for a burger patty, but we are trying to recreate their very first one. It makes sense since the burger was 15 cents. So we're going to perform the proper McDonald's hamburger procedure. So to start it off, we add in 5 dabs of ketchup, also 5 dabs of yellow mustard. On top of that, we add in a pinch of those rehydrated onions, and we place exactly 2 slices of pickles, no more or no less. 2 was the ultimate pickle slice formula, and on top of that, we add our burger patty. And there we have our very 15-cent no cheese. If you want it with cheese, it's 19. For our next one, we actually have got a crucial step here, and this was toasting the McDonald's buns. So we're gonna actually start off with that, and we're just gonna lay them directly on the pan here. Meanwhile, the bun is toasting, we can prepare our next patty. 45 grams is the magic number, and the buns are nicely toasted. We're just gonna transfer this here to our plate and place the salted side down onto the pan. And before we continue, salt the other side. Now that 2 minutes is almost up, make sure to flip your burger. Later on, during the opening of McDonald's, their first burger was the hamburger, and they decided to upgrade it by doing the cheeseburger. So here we have a slice of old cheddar cheese. I'm gonna just put it directly on the patty. And this will allow that cheese to melt. And don't worry about the cheese, it'll continue to cook because it's really hot and steamy. We're going to add that directly to our bun. Here we have the McDonald's 19-cent cheeseburger. Now that I've shown you 2 of the most famous earliest burgers from McDonald's, the 15-cent hamburger and the 19-cent cheeseburger, we're just gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of the burgers, and we'll see you in a bit. Here I actually went to go buy some McDonald's. This is the 2018 hamburger, and this is the 2018 cheeseburger. I tried my best to make McDonald's very first burger using 2 different cooking methods for the bun. The process for the meat and the toppings, however, should be exactly the same. And we're just gonna see and compare how much different McDonald's has changed in 50 years. Has perfection stayed the same, or did they modify their recipe? So let's take a look. It's very flat. The bun is extremely soft. Let's take a look on the inside. In modern day, they actually do cut their onions now. Instead of using their rehydrated onions, the ratio between ketchup to mustard is a little bit lacking. As you can see, there's a lot of red, but there's not much of that yellow mustard. Although I can't measure the weight, it does look very similar in size. So it's good to see the patty hasn't changed in size. Now we're gonna cut into our own special hamburger we made here. Also have that nice soft bun. We got that same patty. Mine's looking a little bit fatter in the middle there. I did not press it well enough, as I am not a McDonald's expert. Oh, one thing I do notice right away. I forgot, I put pickles in this hamburger. The original McDonald's hamburger for 15 cents had the 5 drops of ketchup, 5 drops of mustard. You can see there's a generous amount in there. And there's the 2 slices of pickles. There you have it. You get a nice even color. This one's a little shinier. And now we're just going to take a look at the third burger here I prepared. In comparison, these look really similar. The real test is, let's see if the 1955 15-cent burger is just as tasty as the modern day burger. So I'm going to start off with this shiny bun hamburger. That's just a good burger combo right there. This may not be the exact burger from 1955, but McDonald and his crew, they perfected that recipe. So I think if you get any ratio similar to this, it's gotta taste good. I do enjoy the sweetness of the bun. This is a good compliment to this burger. And just to cleanse my palate, I'm going to try the modern day 2018 hamburger. And no, this was the one that was lacking the 2 pickle slices, so let's see if it lives up to it. This is good. It has that signature McDonald's taste, the McDonald's bun. It's so hard to replicate this, but when you eat this, you know this bun is McDonald's. I have a little bit of problem with how the bun is a little squished, a little soggy. The flavor's there. It's pretty good. Honestly, so far between the two, I'd say the flavor is pretty close. It's just the bun that makes that little difference. So let us try our third hamburger. Oh yeah, something about that bread being able to cook covered in aluminum foil and steaming itself makes the bread really stand out. This bread is super sweet, really hearty burger. And this one, this is like a family barbecue burger or something like that. Just because of the bread. The filling tastes really similar because we did use the same one here, and it also tastes really similar to the modern day burger. Overall, in terms of hamburger, I'm going to have to go with this egg washed brioche bun here. And this was made using our special brioche bun following the 1955 McDonald's hamburger procedure. I think this one takes the cake for me for hamburgers. This is mostly due to the fact that this one was lacking the 2 pickle slices. I am not sure if they just forgot the procedure or they changed it and they overloaded this with onions. Using that fresh onion, you got a really strong onion flavor, and putting too much of that wasn't very tasty to me. I prefer the flavors of the inside and the bun working in harmony. Here the bread was a little bit too strong. It wasn't a bad flavor, but I feel like I was tasting really good bread rather than a really good burger. So I'm just gonna clean up this plate here and I want to see what other people think and see which one they like the best.
Well, it's really good.
It does taste like a McDonald's cheeseburger.
Actually, yeah. How do you do that?
Do you guys think the recipe has changed much from 1955 to modern day?
Oh, I like it. This is a real McDonald's one you bought today, right? Just like the same size.
It looks good.
What do you know so much about that?
Actually, I used to work at McDonald's when I was like 15.
Okay.
All right, and just as you guys are enjoying your last piece, I would like you guys to place your vote on your favorite burger for today.
Easy. Hands down. This 10 out of 10.
I'd like to thank you guys for joining us on the show today. Hope you enjoyed the burgers.
This is your half. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there more?
I have 2 more down there, but the cheese is not melted.
That's it? That's all we cooked?
Yeah.